Okay, welcome back to I've Got Something to Tell You bonus episode 4, Story Edition again. And I'm just going to explain it again. By story, or short story.
Short.
Short story edition, meaning Reddit stories we find, stories top of the noggin.
Top of the noggin.
Top of the noggin. Just stories that we've heard. That aren't long enough for an actual story.
And it's just fun because, like, we do a lot of, like, long-term research on, like, our big stories that we do. But there's all these, like, things that we just enjoy talking about. So it's fun to get a chance to just talk about them.
It's fun to go back and forth with, like, the shorter stories, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's some just, like, crazy ones where, like, this isn't long enough to do an actual story, but you still gotta hear it.
And there are just things that I really want to tell Taylor about, and she really wants to tell me, so.
So we might as well record it.
Yeah.
Okay, so who wants to start?
I started last time, so you want to start this time?
Sure.
Set the tone.
Alrighty. Okay. So this story is kind of like a glitch in the Matrix. It's a Reddit story, and that might have been the subreddit that I found it on. I didn't write it down, so I don't remember. So anyway, in the summer of 1993, when I was 16, my parents sent me to Outward Bound, a month-long wilderness program for teens. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's... Okay, sorry.
No, I don't know what that is, so...
Oh, wait. Well, that'll be my next story. I'll tell you about it.
Okay. So, yeah, a month-long wilderness program for teens in Oregon's Three Sisters Wilderness. It was tough, long hikes, heavy packs, and no frills camping. I bonded with a Swedish girl named Eva and a determined guy named Steve, who had an infected foot but refused to quit. Eva and I kissed one night, breaking the no relationship rule. We got caught, but the moment stuck with me. It was sweet, innocent, and meaningful.
Aw.
I know. The next day, we stopped at a stunning glacial pool, crystal blue, 5 large boulders arranged in a perfect circle on the gravel bottom, fed by a 10-foot waterfall. Some kids dove in, including Steve. Eva hesitated, but said she'd jump if I did. So I climbed up and dove. Then, blackout.
Oh my God.
I came to coughing water on the edge of the pool, guides hovering over me, saying I hit my head on a rock. My head throbbed. The once blue pool was now a murky green-brown. Eva was aloof, chatting with another girl like nothing had just happened. Steve was nowhere to be found. I was confused because he'd just been there. But when I asked the guides, they told me he'd been gone for 4 days. He was sent home due to his infected foot. That didn't make sense because I remembered him being there every day since.
Mm-hmm.
That night, Eva acted like she didn't even know me. Her accent was a bit different, and when I asked her to sit with me, she laughed. The male guide pulled me aside and said I should give it up. Eva was from Brazil, not Sweden, and I'd been unsuccessfully pursuing her for all of the trip. I was stunned, and everything just felt off. From then on, the world seemed slightly shifted. My parents said I came back different. Technology seemed better. People acted differently. I felt like I didn't belong in my old life anymore. I told myself it was just a concussion, but deep down, part of me wonders if I slipped into another version of reality, one almost identical but not quite the same. And I still think about that blue pool.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know.
Well, so when you mentioned Outward Bound, so... like, you know, like, there's a bunch of documentaries about this, but did you ever watch the program?
I don't know.
But
that wasn't the one that you sent me to watch not too long ago, right?
I don't know. It's about the school?
I think so.
Okay. Well, so it's, like, come out about all of these, like, this was, like, a big boom, I feel like when we were in high school, so like early 2000s, where parents would like send their kids to these
that's the one.
Yeah. Well, so like the program is about like the school, but like the outdoor like survivalist approach to this was supposed to be like part of that too. Like basically they would send the kids to like go be survivors in the wild, and these programs would charge like thousands of dollars to have your kid and like in their camp, and then they would take them out on these like treacherous hikes with like limited supplies, and it was supposed to change or reform these kids. But there have been so many kids that have come forward and that were like, this was like a torture camp.
And
like,
they also like don't allow you to speak to the parents.
They
right?
won't allow you. They check every source of like communication. If you
and hold the mail.
Mm-hmm. So when you said Outward Bound, I was like, ooh, that would make a really good like longer story.
Yeah.
So
wait, so was that one of the ones specifically, or
no,
did it just remind you?
It just reminded me, but
because it does kind of sound like one of those.
Well, Outward Bound was, sorry, that's what you were asking. I thought you meant the program. No, Outward Bound was one of the ones that was pretty problematic.
Interesting.
The program was more of like a reform like school or like a boarding school. But it was very much similar of like they were certainly abusing the children and like limiting their just quality of life and not allowing them to speak to their parents and stuff.
It was like
that.
Abusive.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But that wasn't my story. I was going to tell a different one.
Okay.
But I guess this one is kind of aligned because it's about like random acts of like wilderness.
Cool.
But did you ever hear about the family of 4 that all got struck by lightning?
No. That sucks.
Yeah. So they go out. It's like a mom, a dad, and their 2 kids, boy, girl, like quintessential family, whatever.
I feel like that. Sorry, I cut you off. I feel like I could see them telling that story and people just laughing. So
yeah.
Okay. You all got struck by lightning.
All got struck by lightning. But so they decide to go out for a hike, and like they can see like the weather rolling in and stuff like that. And sorry, it's not funny. They survived, so I guess we can laugh at it. But so they're like being warned like by the park rangers, and like they can see weather coming in, and everybody's like turning around and they're still going, and then just like lightning strikes down, and people say they saw it hit all of them, and they just like stood there for a second and then just went boop.
Oh my God.
They did have some like minor injuries, but they all survived it, which like I don't know what the stats are of surviving a lightning strike, but for all 4 of your family members to get hit by lightning, either
I feel like seeing that, it looked like the beginning of like a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Like you
Totally.
just see the 4 lightning bolts going down. That's when their life changed.
That's the origin of the Incredibles.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a cool story.
It just makes me laugh because
They have like brain injuries. It's like not funny.
yeah, that's why it's okay to laugh about it because they're all fine, okay?
You mean they don't take off like the Flash?
I mean, honestly, who's to know? Because they would have to hide their identity.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I feel like I derailed your story.
No, that was it. That's all I had to share. Yeah. Okay. They all got hit by lightning together. I thought it was funny, and I wanted to tell you about it.
What are the odds, though?
Yeah.
That is wild. Good story.
Thanks.
Okay. Next story. So this one, another Reddit story.
Okay.
And it was under like Appalachian stories. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Thank God. Because I feel like you'll literally tell me and I'll say it wrong immediately.
You're like, thank fucking God she didn't correct me this time.
One day I'll get it right. I feel like the way that I think you're supposed to say it sounds worse than the original. Anyway, okay. So the story begins saying, okay, I have to tell you something really quick.
Okay.
Because, like, their story, like, they're referring to their grandma, but in the story it said my mama. And I was like, I am not saying that over and over. So I changed it to grandma. I was like that's gonna sound so
I'm not
stupid
gonna
coming
not
from me.
laugh like at that now.
It's because I just saw one that I forgot to change. I'm like, dang it, a mama slipped in.
Those mamas always slipping in.
I know. It's just like, can they not? Just say my grandma. Anyway, okay.
Mama's beer cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Mama's beer and cheese. Beer cheese, not beer and cheese. Okay. So my grandma.
My grandmother.
My grandmother grew up in a very rural and poor part of West Virginia. With 7 or 8 brothers and sisters, life was hard, but like many country folk, her father kept a garden to help feed her family.
Country folk?
Yeah.
Taylor clearly did not write this.
I did not. She idolized her dad and would often help him. Well, just you wait, okay? Because you know I definitely didn't write this.
A country folk wrote this.
This is their point of view. And you will see. So she idolized her dad and would often help him tend the garden. The garden was quite a ways from their house, and to get there they had to push a heavy wooden wheeled wagon. Say that fast, okay? Past their neighbor's house.
You did say it really well, though.
Wooden wheeled wagon.
That was not as good as the first time.
Thanks. So the neighbor was an old woman named Aunt Kate. She said Aunt Kate was scary. Her eyes were white with like cataracts, and she had a reputation for just being like different. She never felt comfortable around her. So she sounded just like an old creepy woman.
Yeah, love that.
One brutally hot summer, her and her dad were out in the garden for hours picking vegetables, and as they pushed their wagon by Aunt Kate's porch, she suddenly came outside and yelled, "Harrison, give me some."
What did she say?
She said, "Give me some of them beans you got there."
Is that a pickup line?
Let me see them beans.
Give me some of them beans.
He's all, "Damn, Kate."
Okay, Kate.
Her dad snapped back, "Kate, we worked hard for them beans, and we ain't giving them away."
You did work hard for them beans.
I know. But then Aunt Kate just laughed and said, "You'll regret that."
Oh, no.
Should have gave her them beans.
You give the beans to who you feel like giving the beans to.
I guess, unless it's Aunt Kate, then
Give them beans.
you better give her the beans. They didn't think much more of it and went about their chores. That night, my grandma and her many siblings settled down to sleep in their cramped home. She was drifting off when she heard footsteps approaching her room, slow and deliberate. Knowing every sound in the house, she didn't recognize this one. Terrified, she pulled the covers over her head.
That's a real confident statement, knowing every sound in the house.
She's like, "I know those 7 sets of footsteps, and it wasn't any of them." Oh, there's an ice cream truck.
Did you not know that sound in your house?
I did not know that sound in my house. So anyway, terrified, she pulled the covers over her head, remembering the scary stories her father had told her to keep them in line. The footsteps stopped at her door, and she said she could feel something standing there watching her. And then, just as quietly, it turned and walked away. This happened repeatedly all night long. The next morning, the footsteps stopped. She heard her father get dressed quickly. Summoning her courage, she ran down the hall and found him packing green beans into a sack. Without a word, they headed straight to Aunt Kate's house. Aunt Kate was sitting on her porch as if she was waiting. Her dad said sternly, "Old woman, take your booger back."
What?
Okay, so in Appalachian talk, a booger means a spirit or a demon.
Oh, okay.
I was like, "Your booger."
Yeah.
He just flings it
Sick.
over.
He gives her a hanky.
I know. Here's your hanky.
Here's your hanky and your beans.
Aunt Kate just laughed and said, "Don't worry, Harrison. It won't bother you no more." My grandma swore Aunt Kate was involved in dark magic or black magic. She herself was a devout Christian who never lied or cursed, and she believed Aunt Kate was something otherworldly.
I mean, I think it is a power move for Aunt Kate. Like,
oh, you're not going to give me your beans?
You're not
then
gonna
I'm going
give
to
me them.
summon a demon right after you.
I mean, the escalation of like not because green beans are pretty gross, but
it just escalated really quick.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck you, Harrison. Anyway, I love that story.
A lot. I'm gonna start telling people like that's gonna be my new thing.
Take your booger back.
No, give me them beans.
Harrison, give me them beans.
What story should I tell you?
What one comes to mind?
So there's a story of this girl, and she is going to babysit for this family for the first time. But she goes there and like they do a meet and greet with the kids to make sure that like it's a good fit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so she already like kind of knows the family. She feels comfortable with them. The kids feel comfortable with her, but they are young kids. So it's the night where she's going to babysit. She gets to the house and the dad, like, he walks her around the house because they've met the kids, but she hasn't like seen the full layout of the house. And they have this one door, like they have like a sub basement. Mm-hmm. But it's not like a full basement, and there's
kind of like your old house.
Yeah, like my old house, where it's like just a few steps down, but it's like it's still a basement.
But it's like part of the house.
It's underground
but it's
enough.
Technically a basement. Yeah.
And so he takes her down there, and he's like, you know, like you can play with the kids here, but like they really like to play in their playroom upstairs. Mm-hmm. And also we're doing some renovations down here, so like that door, like just don't go through that door because that room's a mess. And so then. They also tell her that, you know, we're not going to get home until probably like 11 o'clock or midnight. We're going to a dinner and it's supposed to run late, but the kids are probably going to go to bed around like 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, sweet. That means I'm basically just getting paid to like watch Netflix. Yeah. And so just like everything gets better and better because she likes the family. She likes the kids. The house is like super nice and like they got lots of snacks. Mm-hmm. So
perfect.
all of it's like sounding great. And the house is a little bit, she describes it as like not isolated, but it's quiet, and they have like they're a pretty wealthy family, so they have some like land in the backyard. So it also is just like pretty, you know?
Yeah.
And so she feeds the kids go to sleep, and then she starts watching like she describes it as she's watching old episodes of the Kardashians. And so she's like, again, sweet, I'm just getting like paid to hang out. And then all of a sudden she starts hearing like a voice, and she goes, it kind of just sounded like moaning, like slightly like waking up kind of moaning, like, you know how you start like you're still like half asleep. Yeah. You're half asleep, but you're kind of like groggy, whatever. Yeah. And so she starts hearing that. And so she goes and she checks on the kids to see if maybe like one of them is waking up. Yeah. No, they're both fast asleep. Yeah. And so then she starts hearing the voice get a little bit louder. She turns the TV off because she's like, maybe like, what is this? Yeah. And so then she starts hearing the voice get a little bit louder, and it's like growing into less of like a moaning, but more into like she can't hear the words, but she hears a woman's voice.
While you're saying that, it's making me think of like The Walking Dead, what the walkers sounded like.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, yeah.
Grumbly.
Yeah. Grumbles. And so then she can distinctly hear that this is like a female voice, and she's trying to make out the words, but then she can't. So she's walking around the house trying to figure out what she's hearing. And then she distinctly hears a woman yelling, "Help me." And that's when she's like, nope. And freaks out. And so she calls her mom, and she's like, I'm hearing a woman like yelling, "Help me." And she goes, I think she's in the basement. And I can't get into that basement room because it's locked, that door that the guy had told her about. Yeah. And like she didn't think to like check it before because he just said like don't go in there. But when she checks it, it's actually locked. And so her mom's like, well, call the police. If you are sure that you're hearing a woman yell like, "Help me," then you need to call the police.
Yeah.
And so she calls the police and she says, I'm hearing a woman yell, help me. It's coming from the basement and I'm next. Like, she's now creating this like whole thing in her head of, this is what they do. They must just like take babysitters.
Yeah.
And once the kids go to sleep, they're going to come home and I'm going to be the next person to like go into the basement. And so she's freaking out. She's called her mom. She's called the police. And the police and her mom both show up at the house at the same time. And come to find out,
oh no,
in the woods behind the house, there was a girl who had lost her cat and was getting increasingly more worried about her cat and was yelling, help me. But because of the placement of where the girl was, it sounded like it was coming from the basement of the house.
That would be so embarrassing.
And so the girl was just having this like total freak out.
And she was like making a story into her, which totally valid.
Totally valid.
Like,
I mean,
the door was locked.
If anything, go to the extreme and apologize for it later. Like,
yeah, because otherwise, if it was that, she would have maybe wound up in the basement.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. When you were telling that story, I thought it was going to go a different direction. Because I swear, I don't know if you told me this story, and I don't remember the whole story, so I'm not going to try. But I think it was like a similar situation where they heard a voice and it ended up being someone at like the back window or something.
Oh, was it the one where I told you about the baseline killer where the guy's like tapping on the...
I don't know if it was. Yeah, I don't remember enough to like...
Yeah.
Because I remember that one.
Okay.
But yeah, I felt like it was like a babysitter or something, and then like somebody was like at the back sliding window or something, but yeah.
I can't remember that one. But I could tell you the baseline killer one real quick.
Okay.
So, this is a story that I heard on a podcast, and it was a girl telling her own experience. So she was in college, and she was from Arizona. So if you don't know, baseline killer happened in Arizona, and it was a pretty like rampant story, which I'll cover one day. But yeah. Because I had my own baseline killer experience. But so she's in college and she's taking a nap, and her bedroom is set up where like her bed is right next to the window, and the window is like high enough off of the ground that it's not like ground level, but it's like enough that you would have to like peek over a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's not like right there. So somebody could definitely like look into it, but yeah. And so she's taking a nap and she wakes up because she hears somebody tapping on her window, and she looks out the window and this guy is standing there and he's looking up at her and he's whispering to her, let me in. And she's like, no. And and she asks him like, are you okay? Like, you know, or do you need help? And he's like, he just keeps whispering to her, let me in, let me in. And so finally she's just like, no, absolutely not. And she like closes her window, locks everything, and just kind of chalks it up to like a weird dude, which I don't think...
it was like a college dorm, right?
Yeah.
So it could be like a drunk guy or something.
Totally. And like, so... Yeah, and so then it's like months later, and they are watching the news, and on the news they show the guy that they caught as the baseline killer, which was like this rampant, he was a rapist, he would break into people's homes, he would assault, he would do like random shootings, but he was like, it was a very scary time in Arizona because of just like how random he was.
Yeah.
And she's watching the news and they put the face of him up there, and she's like, that was the guy at my window.
That would be insane.
Insane.
To be like, I was this close to a
so
serial
close.
Killer.
And she gave him attitude. So.
Yeah. She's like, fuck off, man.
Yeah. I'm taking a freaking nap. Like.
Well, Colleen will tell that full story at some point.
At some point.
Yes. So stay tuned for that. So should we wrap up our...
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for listening to our bonus episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Later.